Now, today's thought of the day is really beautiful. You know, importance of persistence, or more rightly said, I would say, why persistence beats talent. Now, once again, let me begin with a question that raise your hand if you have ever heard someone say, oh, they are just naturally gifted about someone successful. I do say that. Thank you. Thank you. And keep your hand up if you've ever used that as an excuse to quit something yourself. I get it. And we've all been there. You see someone excel at guitar and think, oh, they have musical genes. You watch a classmate top the exam and think they are just born smart. And you see a colleague get promoted and think they have natural leadership skills. But here's what I've discovered about studying successful people: we are giving talent way too much credit and persistence way too little. Let me tell you a story that will change how you think about success forever. Now, there's this beautiful metaphor I love. A dripping tap can carve stone, not through strength, but through persistence. Think about that for a moment. Water, the gentlest element, can literally reshape a rock, not because each drop is powerful, but because each drop shows up again and again and again. And that's exactly what persistence does to our goals. And here's this uncomfortable truth: talent opens the door, but persistence walks you through it. So let me paint you a picture with some examples you'll recognize. Let's talk about Amitabh Bachchan. He was rejected by All India Radio because his voice was considered unsuitable for broadcasting. And today, that same voice is the most recognizable in the Indian cinema. Who doesn't know Sachin Tendulkar? And he wasn't the most naturally gifted player in his first cricket academy. His coach used to say he was technically sound, but not exceptionally talented. But what did Sachin have? An obsession with practice that bordered on madness. And have you heard about Colonel Sanders? Just a sec. Yeah. Colonel Sanders, you know, I'm sure when I'll tell you who he was actually the founder of KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And he was rejected 1009 times before someone finally said yes to his chicken recipe. And he was 65 when KFC became successful. Yes, the success came at the age of 65. And now the whole world, knows KFC. And here's what research tells us: grit, effort, perseverance, they predict long term success for better than IQ or natural ability. Angela Duckworth studied this for years and found that talent without persistence is like a car without fuel. It might look impressive, but it's not going anywhere. And here's something fascinating: talented people often quit faster than ordinary people. Would you believe that? Talented people quitting? But why? Because they're used to things that come so easily to them. So the first sign of difficulty feels like a personal failure. And the naturally smart student who breezes through 10th standard often struggles more in 12th when the material gets genuinely challenging. But the student who has always worked hard, they built their struggle muscles. And when things get tough, they don't think I'm not good enough. They think, okay, this is Tuesday, 4 days to go for the exam. Let me figure out. Let me work or add another hour to my practice. And the person who struggled to learn driving but kept practicing often becomes a better driver than the natural who gave up after the first accident. And let me tell you about someone from my neighborhood. There were two kids learning tabla. One was a prodigy, picked up rhythms instantly, impressed everyone. And the other one struggled for months just to get basic beats right. Guess who's performing professionally too? Of course, the kid who struggled. The prodigy quit when pieces got complex because he never learned how to learn through difficulty. So here's the formula that creates mastery: consistency plus learning from failure is actually equal to mastery. So let's break this down. So we've always talked about consistency in our sessions, and it doesn't mean being perfect every day. It means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's the student who studies for 30 minutes daily instead of 5 hours once a week. It's the person learning guitar who plays for 15 minutes consistently rather than 3 hours sporadically. And learning from failure, it means treating every setback as data, not a verdict. And it's so, so powerful. People get depressed, you know, from failure, but it's just part of the data. What you have done, what wrong you did. So let's get back to working. So when an IIT aspirant doesn't clear the exam in their first attempt, they have two choices: I'm not smart enough, or let me analyze what went wrong and adjust my strategy. The persistent person chooses option two every single time. And the magic happens in the combination. Consistency without learning keeps you stuck, and learning without consistency keeps you starting over. And together, they create unstoppable progress. So, all right, now it's time to get personal. I want everyone to think about something you gave up on. I'm sure everybody has gone that way. Maybe it was learning a skill, pursuing a goal, or even a relationship you stopped nurturing because it got too hard. So, as a step one, I would say choose your restart. Write down that one thing you gave up on that still matters to you. Maybe it's learning English fluently or getting fit, starting the side business, or even calling your grandparents regularly. Just one thing. And then step two, find your why. It is so, so important in our lives. So write this question and answer it honestly. Why is this worth continuing, even if it's hard? So I repeat, why is this worth continuing, even if it's hard? Not because it will be easy, but because it matters. Maybe you want to learn coding because technology fascinates you. Maybe you want to get fit because you want to play with your future children. And maybe you want to improve your communication because you have ideas worth sharing. And if I tell you my why I want to get fit, actually, I want to travel the world and go places with my spouse. And I want to be fit for that. And step three, your new identity phrase. Here's a phrase I want you to memorize and repeat whenever you feel like quitting. And the phrase is, I don't quit, I evolve. I repeat, I don't quit, I evolve. So try to say it aloud every day. And this isn't just positive thinking, it's your identity shifting. You're not someone who gives up when things get hard. You're someone who adapts, learns, and keep moving forward. And anyway, there's a popular saying, man, human being, is the most adaptive animal. So why quit? So who's brave enough, as we do it every day now, that who's brave enough to share what they are going to restart? So unmute yourself and please let's start our accountability. Before we end, I want you to remember something profound. Every expert was once a beginner, every pro was once an amateur, and every icon was once an unknown. The only difference between someone who made it and someone who didn't, the person who made it didn't quit on the days when quitting felt like the smartest option. So, your call to action can be very, very simple and very, very powerful. Take one small step towards that thing you gave up on. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Even if it's for just 10 minutes, even if it's just opening that book or making that phone call. Because talent might open doors, but persistence, it builds the entire house. So your dripping tap moments starts now. So let's carve some stone for your own self. So with that thought, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you.